Full disclosure, I'm gonna spoil this guy's true name, and the title and thumbnail will change a week after release to reflect that. If you care about that sort of thing, go play Shinjuku first. Otherwise, keep on watching.
まさかこの小さまが、いやそんな。
素晴らしい！世界は破滅に満ちている！
Hey nerds, Fino here. Let's talk about Professor James Moriarty, living proof that Raita can draw rather dashing men, when he can be bothered to do so. This guy's a 5-star arts archer centered around his explosive noble phantasm. The rest of his kit reflects this, though I'm writing this in advance, so the names may vary. Firstly, we have Magic Bullet Shooter EX. This gives a clutch gather rate buff and invuln pierce. The cooldown caps at 5 turns, which isn't bad, but this is one of his less impactful skills. If you run into material troubles, which you will, this is the one to shaft. Skill 2 is the Extremity of Spiderwebs. At level 10, this gives 50% charge and 3 turns of increased NP strength. The catch is that it drains 10 stars. The frustrating part about this skill is that the 10-star cost is mandatory. If you can't pay it, you can't use it. This effectively locks him out of a first turn NP without external intervention. It's doable, but it tends to rely on awkward teams or inefficient skill usage. Golden Catches the Carp is probably the most elegant solution, though it's a one-and-done effect, and you'll have to put it on someone else. Despite its awkwardness, 50% charge is way too good to ignore, and you should max this first. Skill 3 is Charisma of Wicked Wisdom. It's an Elizabeth-style charisma buff, and it doubles up on evil allies except him. That last part's pretty unfortunate, and if you look at a list of evil servants, things get pretty strange. This is a fairly difficult skill to fully exploit while still making a half-decent team. In all likelihood, you'll end up with a single evil ally and a non-evil support. Moriarty's Noble Phantasm is Dynamics of an Asteroid. While doing his best Super Robot Wars impression, he reduces an enemy's defense and then blows it up. NPs that preemptively apply debuffs are somewhat rare, and a defense debuff is a damage increase. Pretty nice. One thing to note about Moriarty is that he's a greedy motherfucker, and has some of the most brutal material requirements I've ever seen. Each skill requires 36 poisonous needles, 15 pages, 48 dust, and 72 magical cerebrospinal fluid. That last one's a material introduced in Shinjuku, and event shops don't give them in the numbers you need. Expect to grind Shinjuku in your free time. But let's move on to teams, shall we? Amadeus can give Moriarty a modest loan of 50 stars, and a big one-turn arts buff. The latter's not super reliable in this strategy, but it's there. The thing about Amadeus is that you really don't want him to overstay his welcome. For this reason, I'd recommend giving him a copy of Good a Poster Girl to make sure he dies. Don't gotta pay him back if he's dead, do ya? That's villainy. The best part about this setup is that you can run it with pretty much anything. For this reason, I'll hold off on giving a full team since it would overlap with the other teams I cooked up. Just keep it in the back of your head as a viable adjustment. If you don't have Poster Girl, you can put Golden Catches the Carp on George or Leonidas and have them taunt up. Read 'em and weep. 5 stars as far as the eye can see. Guy's got expensive tastes. Slot 2 is devoted to evil aligned servants with at least 2 arts cards. Slot 3 is for a meta support since you really want that consistency. And let's be real, Merlin's pretty much a supervillain anyway. Call them honorary members. Semiramis and Ivan are notable for having Buster resistance debuffs. The former has a triple arts deck for chaining, but she's got her own skill that requires upfront stars. Ivan for his part has Innocent Monster, which gives star income. Drake has Wave Clear, Star Gen, and a synergistic deck. Summer BB has Star Income, Wave Clear, and her third skill can lock Moriarty into an Arts Brave Chain for 3 turns. Abigail has Party-wide NP charge per turn, and her NP strength bonus gives Dynamics of an Asteroid that extra punch. Tamamo works, and her cooldown reduction can help Moriarty go from NP to NP. The only sticking point is that his Buster Noble Phantasm doesn't synergize with Fox's Wedding. Caster Liz technically fits with Innocent Monster and her arts deck, but yeah, don't do that. Moriarty also has synergy with Ryder Maeve. She's got an attack buff that doubles on him, and he's got one that doubles on her. On paper they seem like a weird alliance to bully Sherlock, but him being a ruler puts the kibosh on that. I guess you'd be going after male neutrals and Zerks with them. There's quite a range here, but the core idea is that your second threat benefits from Moriarty's evil buff, and gives something in return. The big boss is out on parole, and now he's a model citizen earning an honest living. He does arts change from 9 to 5, no seeing waiver behind the corner. He's turned a new leaf. Moriarty has no defensive skills, so he needs to get protection from the local housewives. Mash John and old spinster Nightingale let him survive enemy NPs. David's there too, cause Lancelot might have a day job, but he doesn't. To round out this team, you've got a number of options. Neurobright helps to offset his subpar NP gain, both Helenas give star income and meter, and Caster of Midrash has team-wide arts, buster, and attack buffs, in addition to producing 10 stars on demand. But if you feel that urge to abandon decency, Merlin's always got your back. Lastly, we've got this little number. Summer Maeve is a fairly strange servant, but her NP can stack a tremendous number of defense debuffs. Combined with Moriarty's, you can fatally undermine your target's defense and nuke them down. She's got a party-wide attack buff that also gives crit damage to everyone except her. She also has an arch resistance debuff and generates 10 stars per turn. If you combine this with Tamamo or a source of star income like Hans, you can rapidly build meter and tank your opponent's defense. Of course, you're running an Archer-Saber combo, so the applications of this team are somewhat narrow, considering neither has any form of survivability. So really, it's kind of a Mimi face race setup against neutral enemies with gauges? I don't know anymore. For craft essences, you generally want things with at least 50% starting charge. Golden Sumo is a no-brainer, Magical Girl of Sapphire has increased meter generation, Halloween Princess has NP damage but suffers from split stats, and the Apocrypha event is a ways off but it brings a pilgrimage to the other side. This one is starting charge, NP damage, and generation. Cute Orangeette doesn't have starting charge, but it gives nice damage and generation bonuses in addition to having 2k max attack. Next year's Chaldea Boys will bring Detective Edmund, Foreign Nation Infiltration arc. This one's got NP generation and a hybrid arts buster buff. Taken as a whole, Moriarty reflects a trend we'll be seeing in Epic of Remnant: excessively fair servants. What I mean is that his abilities are powerful, but they come with notable trade-offs. His 50% charge requires an upfront cost, and his evil attack buff only procs once on him. Combined with his fairly weak cards, he's kind of a pain in the ass to use. For most applications, you have to build around him, and even when you do, the results aren't game-breaking. When you compare him to a more self-sufficient attacker like Chloe, or actually broken shit like Squirturia, he comes off as a bit underwhelming. It's difficult to fully utilize his kit. The evil buff in particular tends to constrain team building in a fairly annoying way. I found some good synergy, make no mistake, but it comes at a pretty steep price. A lot of the really fun shit requires use of 5-star and limited 4-star servants. That's pretty rough. His main generic use would be as a second wave Spriggan killer who sets up your main threat for the third wave with his attack buff. If the fight goes long, he can chain back up to a second NP. That's okay, but not exactly must-buy material. If you want a slick operator who shouts Subarashi at the top of his lungs, you've come to the right place. For efficiency though, I'd look elsewhere. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. Also, I stream every weekend on Twitch, 3 PM Pacific Standard Time. I dick around, make mistakes, embarrass myself. It's a good time.